Good afternoon. My name is Sue Constantinides. Most of you in this room are people I've never met before, but we are all sisters and brothers in one life-changing way. We're here today for the same reason. We're either here because we have experienced a loss, or we are here to support someone who has experienced a loss. We are all scarred. Some of our scars are fresh, gaping wounds that go deep. Others of us have scars that have crusted over, but will often reopen and bleed again unexpectedly from a memory or a word or a thought. Yes, our lives have changed, and we will never be the same again. Someone told me once that we are now members of a club that we never wanted to join. How I wish I could withdraw that membership. But everyone experiences loss in one way or another throughout our lifetime. My story began back in June of 2012 when my son Timothy was driving home from work late at night. And that's him down there in the front. He was driving in the westbound lane on Route 70. Someone else was also driving in the westbound lane on Route 70, but he was heading east and driving in the wrong direction on the wrong side of the road. He crashed head-on into my son's car at over 70 miles an hour. It turns out that he'd been drinking and was intoxicated and became confused before accidentally turning into the wrong lane. He was driving a large pickup truck and wasn't injured. My son was driving in a small car and was killed. He was 29 years old. The next few weeks were a blur. I slightly remember the state police officers appearing at my door at 6 a.m. the next morning. They were young, appearing to me to be about the same age as my son, and they were so kind and sympathetic, offering to call my husband, who was away on a business trip at the time, and to call my son's place of employment and to do anything else that would help. During those early weeks of walking around in shock and eventually getting ready for his sentencing, the people at the Howard County State's Attorney Victim Advocate's Office were wonderful, keeping us informed, being a comforting guide to us. I can't thank them enough. As word got around of our loss, friends and neighbors showed up at my house bringing food, offering their help, or just a hug. If you're a friend of someone who has just experienced a tragedy, you feel helpless. You don't know what to say or what to do, but really just being there is enough. If you're here tonight as a supportive friend to someone, it means a lot. Any little gesture is appreciated, like my friend Kathy, who made me this corsage tonight. Thanks, Kathy. I received lots of sympathy cards in the mail. I couldn't read them at the time, but I saved them all in a box, and months later, I pulled them out and slowly read every verse and every handwritten note. They were precious to me. I still have that box of cards, and I'll occasionally pull them out and reread them. I still have a few of my son's shirts hanging in his closet. I just can't seem to give them away. I'll walk in his room and smell them and hug them and talk to him as if he's still there. And I'm pretty sure he hears me. I took some of his shirts and made a quilt out of them as a Christmas gift to his older brother so that he would feel like he was getting a hug from Timothy when he held it. He still has it. He and his wife planted a memorial garden for Timothy in the backyard of their house at the time. That was their way to honor and remember him. When Timothy's younger brother got married 2 years ago, I made a handkerchief out of one of Timothy's shirts so his brother could carry it with him in his pocket as he walked down the aisle, symbolically having Timothy as part of the wedding. That was my way to honor his memory and to have him be a part of that momentous family occasion. We have a memorial candle with Timothy's name on it that we light and take with us to important family events. He was at my daughter's wedding, Thanksgiving dinners, family Christmas events, and summer picnics. The point is, we do whatever we can to keep their memory alive. I don't want to forget. When you first lose a loved one, the wounds are so fresh and raw that you think you will bleed out. The wounds are still here, but I handle them better now. It's been 13 years since the accident. I can now guide my thoughts into the good years that we had together and smile instead of bursting into tears when someone mentions his name. At family picnics, I serve Timothy's favorite baked beans in his memory. And at Thanksgiving, I serve his favorite cranberry relish. His 3 brothers and his sister laugh about the way he would smash up pieces of roast turkey and mix them into the relish, making a big mess on his plate. It's taken a while, but I can now laugh about the goofy things he used to do without crying. We all treasure those memories. That's not to say that I don't still have moments when the grief crashes afresh over me like a tidal wave. Not too long ago, I went to Costco to buy a box of their chicken bakes to have on hand for Timothy's siblings when they were coming home to visit over the holidays. Now, that was Timothy's favorite snack, a chicken bake dipped in Caesar dressing. If you've never tried a chicken bake, it's a handheld dough treat, sort of like a burrito, but with a pizza-type dough, wrapped around chopped chicken breast and a yummy sauce. When Timothy came home late at night and was hungry, he could grab one out of the freezer and microwave it in a jiffy, and he was so happy and full. So here I was at Costco, and I couldn't find the chicken bakes. I searched through the entire frozen food section. They weren't there. I finally stopped an employee to ask him about it, and he said, "Oh, we don't carry them anymore." And right there, I broke down in a puddle of tears. Well, that guy got away from me as fast as he could. It was as if I had just lost Timothy all over again. All because of a box of chicken bakes. How silly was that? But it happens. And by the way, shortly after that, I found them in Costco again. They were probably just out of stock at the time, and the employee didn't know. Thanks for nothing, guy. Now when I see the boxes in the frozen food section, I feel good inside. I probably look a bit strange standing there smiling lovingly at the boxes of chicken bakes in the Costco frozen food aisle, and no one knows what's going on up here. But that's how it is. You'll be okay for a while, and then a memory will hit you like a punch in the gut, and it will suddenly debilitate you. I get little signs that remind me of him. It happens to me frequently. One of my signs is a red cardinal, and look what greeted me when I walked in the door today. Timothy was hospitalized one summer with septic poisoning on top of contracting Lyme disease, and he had to spend a couple of months that summer recuperating in a nursing home. Obviously, he was the youngest person there, and he often alarmed the elderly patients by racing down the halls in his wheelchair. One elderly lady said to me, "You need to control that son of yours." Well, they didn't appreciate his youthful exuberance. Every day I would go to visit him, and we spent a lot of time out on a little patio that was at the back of the building. I hung up a bird feeder nearby and filled it with birdseed. Timothy soon became attached to a red cardinal who came by every day to visit. He developed a daily connection, almost a friendship with this cardinal. The highlight of his day would be to go outside and commune with that red cardinal, who would sit there on the perch looking at him and chirping at him as if he was trying to tell him that it would be all right. Timothy asked me to bring my camera and take a picture of the cardinal, which I did, and I printed out the photo. After Timothy left the nursing home, he kept that photo of the cardinal hanging on the bulletin board in his room. That photograph seemed very important to him. After he was killed, I was so heartbroken, and I felt lost, obviously. I asked God to send me a sign to let me know that Timothy was okay. Immediately, red cardinals started appearing at the least likely moments, often in the least likely places. I would be weeding in the garden, and a cardinal would appear in the shrub right next to me, literally staring at me no more than like 6 feet away, and chirping for a long time without moving. It was strange. I would go for a walk, and a red cardinal would suddenly appear and follow me at my pace, hopping from tree to tree or shrub to shrub. chirping loudly. I went for a day trip to Baltimore, and there in the city, surrounded by buildings and cars whizzing by, was a red cardinal sitting there chirping. I swear he was looking at me. No matter where I went, I would catch sight of a cardinal nearby. I would be driving down the road and a red cardinal would suddenly swoop down in front of my windshield. I would come out of the shopping mall and a red cardinal would be sitting on my car. I went to a Christmas party where everyone had to bring a small wrapped gift to be put in a pile and later passed out. The random gift that I received, a mug with a red cardinal on it. This happened to me over and over again, and it became my sign. The most important sighting of a cardinal happened to me the day I had to give a victim impact statement at the sentencing trial of the man who had caused Timothy's death. I was shaking that morning, pacing back and forth. My husband was waiting for me in the car, and I whispered to myself, God, give me the strength to get through this day, and may my words touch those who are listening. As I walked through the dining room, heading out, I froze as I heard the familiar chirping that I'd come to recognize. I looked over at my window, and literally there, hanging on the outside of the screen, looking in the window, was a red cardinal, chirping wildly. I froze and stood there for what seemed like a long time, and we just stared at each other. Finally, he released his claws and flew away. There was my sign, and I made it through the day. I don't believe anymore in coincidences. I've heard them called God instances. I knew of someone who lost her beloved father and he used to collect pennies. After his death, she started finding pennies everywhere she went. That was her sign. Another friend of mine says her sign is an owl, in memory of her mother. If you look closely as you go about your day and ask, I firmly believe that God will send you little signs to remind you of your loved one. Look for yours. It will probably mean nothing to anybody else but you, but that's all that matters. I'm sure you all agree that holidays are always the hardest time when you've lost a loved one. You miss them so much. One Christmas a few years back, I was pulling out my Christmas tree decorations, feeling very sad and missing Timothy. I started talking to him and telling him how much I missed him as I was unpacking my Christmas ornaments from our storage chest. When I got to the last drawer, it would only partially open. Something was stuck on the inside. Jamming it prevented me from opening it all the way. I reached inside, way in the back, and pulled out a little handmade Christmas tree ornament cut out from some corrugated cardboard. I was astonished to realize that it was a little handmade ornament made by Timothy in Sunday school when he was about 6 years of age. I didn't even know it was in there. Didn't even remember it. And yet there it was, with sparkly glitter glued all over the front and his name written on it that he had signed. I flipped it over, and on the back, he had written in a little preschool messy scrawl, I return all the bad things I have done to God. Well, it was as if I'd gotten a surprise Christmas gift from my son. Coincidence? Like I said, I don't believe anymore in coincidences. Last May, I was cleaning out a drawer in my house and I found a card stuck at the very bottom. It was a Mother's Day card from Timothy, and he'd written a message to me on the inside in his own handwriting, telling me what a good mother I was and how much he loved me. I didn't even remember that card. God instances. Look for your own God instances. They just might appear when you least expect them. So, I implore all of you, please don't give up hope. You will never stop missing your loved ones, and there will always be an empty hole in your heart that they used to fill. But I've learned to fill that hole with precious memories. Those memories are there to cherish and to make you a better person. Let the memories be a tribute to the person that you have lost. It doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are. Let those memories be your beacon. Let it shine light on you, through you, and onto others. Shine hope and comfort to others who are hurting, because you know what it feels like. It will be part of your healing process. Attending this memorial service is a starting point. I've been coming to this service for years. Is it always easy? No, it's not always easy. It's pretty sad hearing about the tragedies that people have had to endure. But I don't want my son to be forgotten. I don't want your loved ones to be forgotten. That's what this memorial service is all about. And thank you again to the people and volunteers who planned this service, allowing us to have time to grieve. Thank you for helping us to remember our loved ones. Thank you for planning this service for us year after year to show that you care too. This service matters. These pictures matter. Your presence matters. Their life on this earth mattered. And your life still matters. At times when I felt like giving up, I knew that my Timothy would not want me to give up. Your loved ones would not want you to give up. And I'm sure that all of you here have friends and family somewhere who care about you. God is not done with you yet. You can still make an impact in this world. I have friends who are afraid to say Timothy's name around me for fear of upsetting me. But I want them to say his name. I don't want him to be forgotten. So don't be afraid to tell someone that you remember their loved one and that you still care. Last year, on the anniversary of Timothy's death, I got an unexpected letter in the mail from a girl he went through elementary and middle school with. She had been at his funeral, which was 13 years ago, and marked down the date on her calendar to always remember. She wrote 6 handwritten pages to me of how much Tim had meant to her during those years. Memories of things he did in school, including times he got into trouble that I didn't know about. The kind way he had treated her, choosing her to be on his soccer team when none of the boys wanted a girl to play on their team. That letter meant the world to me. Someone remembered my precious boy and had stories to tell me that I had never heard before. What a gift that was. There's a poem that the sometimes have at these services called We Are the Rememberers. That poem says so much to me. I want to remember. I want to see those pictures of your loved ones. It matters and you matter. You may not think so now, but your broken heart will give you understanding and compassion for others. And don't forget that you also matter to your loved one. Don't let that be wasted. Keep the memories, but I implore you, keep going. My wish and prayer is for God to protect your heart, protect your mind, and give you strength. Thank you for listening.